Science says your diet might be the single most powerful lever you have. What if you could add years to your life? Not just more years, but vibrant, healthy, energetic years?
First thing I cut out was a lot of carbohydrates I used to eat. I cut that out and have found immediate improvements in my biochemistry levels.
Today, we're diving into the 3 specific foods Dr. Sinclair's research suggests you must cut out or drastically reduce right now if you want to activate your longevity genes, slow aging at the cellular level, and dramatically boost your chances of a longer, healthier life. These aren't just bad foods. They directly sabotage the pathways that keep us youthful. Let's get into it. Dr. David Sinclair is a leading expert in the science of aging and how to slow it down. Originally from Australia, he's now a professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School and co-directs a major research center focused on aging. He's also the author of the best-selling book Lifespan, where he shares powerful insights on how we can live not just longer lives, but healthier, more vibrant ones.
I'm an experimenter. I love dairy. I was eating a lot of cheese and red wine. My diet 2 or 3 days a week was a cheese board and a couple of glasses of red wine. And I've looked at my blood biochemistry and I'm actually now younger and healthier than I've ever been since I've been measuring it over a decade. Now it's more like 14 years. And I can plot various parameters, testosterone, glucose, the list goes on, inflammation, blood type, blood cell composition. And for most of those markers, I'm better than a 20-year-old for health. And I think a lot of that's due to my new diet that I've adopted because I can just see things getting better and better over time. First thing I cut out was a lot of carbohydrates. Sometimes people say, I can never give up alcohol, I could never give up meat. It's not true. And so at least I found it not to be true. First thing I cut out was a lot of carbohydrates. I used to eat bread every day. I would just if I ate something, it would be on toast. Okay, that's my life. I cut that out and have found immediate improvements in my biochemistry levels, particularly my glucose levels.
According to Dr. David Sinclair, and supported by current longevity research, highly refined carbohydrates are one of the key dietary culprits accelerating aging. These include foods like white bread, pastries, sugary cereals, and processed snack foods. While they may offer quick energy, the body rapidly converts them into glucose, leading to blood sugar spikes and increased insulin resistance over time. This constant cycle of glucose surges promotes fat storage, inflammation, and oxidative stress factors strongly linked to age-related diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. More critically, Sinclair highlights how refined carbs may negatively impact the epigenome, the molecular switches that regulate how your genes are expressed. A disrupted epigenome can accelerate what scientists call your biological age, making your cells behave older than they are. Rather than fueling longevity, these empty calories are quietly working against your body's repair mechanisms. The recommendation? Minimize or eliminate refined carbs and focus on foods that keep blood sugar stable like vegetables, legumes, and whole, intact grains. Pairing this with practices like intermittent fasting, as Sinclair often suggests, can further optimize your metabolic health and slow the aging process.
The next thing I cut out was meat. I worked towards a Mediterranean diet, had fish, and eventually now I'm no meat. And that improved my numbers even better. Cholesterol, triglycerides all came down. And I have a familial history, genetics of heart disease. I have what's called Lp(a) high levels. Lp(a) is the worst. About 30% of us have this, and we're destined, if we don't do something, to have a short lifespan. But that was very important, was the cutting out meat. And it's not just the protein, it's also the fat that comes along with the steak and whatever that I was eating.
Cutting back on meat or even cutting it out entirely can play a big role in helping you live a longer, healthier life. Some of the longest living people on the planet, like those in the blue zones, places like Okinawa in Japan or Loma Linda in California, eat mostly plant-based diets with very little meat, and the science backs them up. There's also a biological pathway called mTOR that's linked to growth and aging. Eating a lot of animal protein keeps mTOR more active, which may age your body faster. On the other hand, plant-based foods help keep it in check, supporting better cell repair and longevity. Red and processed meats have been linked to serious health problems like heart disease, cancer, and type 2 diabetes. In fact, the World Health Organization classifies processed meats as cancer-causing and red meat as a likely contributor as well, especially when eaten regularly. These foods also tend to promote inflammation and other processes that speed up aging inside the body.
The amazing thing about the state of knowledge of humanity right now is that over the last few thousand years, humans have figured out to eat less often. There are states of fasting, most religions do that, but also the types of foods. Mediterranean diet is a good example. There's a Okinawan diet, which is a Japanese island that has mostly plants and a little bit of fish, but mostly it's not overeating, and there's not huge amounts of animal fat and animal products and dairy in a typical long-lived population that I just described. So that we've known for a long time. And the third change was the dairy. I did that just to see what would happen. I figured it wouldn't matter. I'm not allergic to dairy. I'm not lactose intolerant. But it did have an effect. It made things even better. And what I think is going on, Shane, is that I was eating a large amount of protein, not just fat, but eggs and all that stuff. And now that I have less protein, I think that mTOR pathway that's really important for longevity in animals and probably people is really kicking in a way that had never done so before.
Cutting out dairy might be one of the smarter choices you make for your long-term health and longevity. While milk and cheese are often praised for their calcium and protein, more and more research is showing that dairy may actually do more harm than good, especially when consumed regularly. For starters, dairy is high in saturated fat, which can promote inflammation and increase the risk of heart disease, certain cancers, like prostate and breast, and type 2 diabetes. It also raises levels of a hormone called IGF-1, which helps with growth but may speed up aging and raise the risk of age-related diseases when it's too high. Another common issue is lactose intolerance. Most adults around the world have trouble digesting lactose, the sugar in milk. Even if the symptoms are mild, it can still cause low-grade inflammation over time, which quietly wears down your health. There's also concern about modern dairy containing hormones and antibiotics that can disrupt your gut and hormone balance, two things that are closely tied to how we age and how we feel day to day.
Well, I don't like plants. I'm now learning how to enjoy plants, but for me, they were a side dish. But here's the thing, there's a lot of debate, especially on social media, about meat versus plants. I would love meat to be lifespan extending. That would be heaven. But it's not. You just look at those populations and people that live a long time. They are generally smaller, women who don't eat much, who eat vegetarian. I mean, that's the fact. We can debate it all day, but there are these scientific facts that we have to pay attention to. Yes, Mediterranean diet is just known to be healthy, and vegetarian and vegan diets are also conducive to longevity. But the other thing that's amazing about our state of knowledge is that people like me have discovered genes that control aging. Sirtuins are the ones that we work on, this mTOR gene that I mentioned. Those diets are turning on those defenses that we discovered not because we were studying diets, because we were studying yeast cells and worms and fruit flies. But now we understand in this unified theory of aging that by eating these types of foods, you're making the body think that times are tough, turning on the defenses that for the long run will be conducive to longevity and forestall these diseases that will kill us. And in the short run, you'll actually feel better, and in terms of body composition, will actually look better too.
What you eat has a powerful effect on how long and how well you live. The food you choose every day can either speed up aging or help your body stay strong and resilient. On the flip side, eating whole, nutrient-rich foods gives your body the tools it needs to repair, protect, and thrive. Experts like Dr. David Sinclair say that the right diet can actually influence how your genes behave, helping you age more slowly and live a healthier, longer life.
The other reason to be focusing more on plants is that they make molecules that are very healthy for us. And again, we scientists have figured out that those molecules aren't just being antioxidants. That's the theory of the 1980s. What we've realized is that in addition to being antioxidants, they actually turn on those longevity pathways, the sirtuins. They work on mTOR. There's another one called AMPK, which senses blood sugar and energy. And by eating plants that, in general, make these molecules, and especially plants that are stressed themselves or have adversity, which heightens the amount of these molecules production, we can ingest them and trick our bodies into thinking that there is adversity, right? We've evolved, I believe, this is my theory with Conrad Howard's, is that we're sensing the plant world, and when our food supply might run out, we need to defend our bodies against the environment, and that leads to longer life. And the theory came from our discovery that resveratrol from red wine and 19 other plant molecules that are produced by plants when they're stressed turn on these sirtuin defenses. And we're trying to figure out, how is that possible? Is it just a coincidence? And then we came up with this theory that we've evolved to sense our food supply.
If you found this helpful, please give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more science-backed tips on longevity, health optimization, and living your best life. Be honest, which of these 3 foods would be hardest for you to give up? Let me know down below. I read all your comments.